Hey mamas, I have a confession to make. My husband Charlie really got the worst of me after our first child was born. Over those first couple of years, as I was getting the hang of parenting, I allowed myself to become all mother all the time. I became super focused on all my mothering tasks, and I felt so obligated to get them all done and to do them perfectly, above all else, above rest, above relaxation, and most of all, above having fun. Case in point, one night when our son Rocky was about 15 months or so, my husband came into the kitchen and said, "Babe, come outside and look at the stars with me." It was a lovely night, and my man had invited me to come outside and look at the stars after the baby was asleep. And I turned to him and I said, "No, I'm washing the bottles." And there I was, standing over a sink full of bottles with my dish gloves on, and I told him to his face that cleaning those bottles was more important than connecting with him, more important than having fun with him. And I mean, one of the reasons he married me is because I'm a fun girl. So that night, I realized how deep I was in what I call obligation nation, that mom zone where you feel so obligated to your responsibilities of motherhood, where you're tending to your kids' every need, where you're feeling the pressure to do it all perfectly, and where you realize that you're just not having that much fun, where you realize that you're no longer allowing for spontaneity, that you're sacrificing romance for routine, and that you're doing all the work, but never allowing yourself to fully taste the playful part of motherhood, the experience of being in play with yourself, with your partner, and even with your kids. And the truth is that all those things are critical elements to creating a vibrant and satisfied experience of yourself as a woman, mother, and partner. You need those elements of fun and spontaneity and play in your life as a woman to show up as an empowered and sensual partner in your relationship. Yeah, when you invest in your sense of personal fun and freedom and pleasure, it becomes a real win-win for your relationship too. And so that night, when I chose to clean bottles over connecting with my husband, that served as a wake-up call where I realized that the obligations I'd created for myself within motherhood were ruling my life. And let me tell you something. Obligation is so not sexy. It's not fun, it's not sensual, it's not soft, it's not feminine, it's not satisfying. And being in a state of obligation where you feel you have to get it all done before you're allowed to play, it just doesn't make any sense. We deserve more as mothers and as women. So here's where I say, screw it. Don't do as I did and get stuck in obligation nation. It's okay to ditch your obligations and choose fun instead. So now I am inviting you to choose more fun as a mother, to choose to drop what you're doing and have a sexy moment with your partner, to choose to abandon the laundry and have a spontaneous dance party with yourself or with your kids. And yes, I know that as a mom, there are things you are obligated to do, but there are also things you can give yourself the permission to ditch. You are allowed to give yourself the permission to ditch the obligations that make you feel burned out, the obligations that make you feel irritated and overstretched and resentful. And so how do you do that, right? You look for opportunities to ditch one or two things every week that don't contribute to your happiness. And then you use those moments to create opportunities for fun and connection instead. For example, if you can't stand sports day at school and your kids aren't passionate about it either, just do everyone a favor and ditch it. The rule should be that if no one's enjoying it, then forget it. Take everybody out for ice cream instead, and splurge and get 2 scoops and really savor how the sweet ice cream melts on your tongue. This kind of ditching can unlock a sense of spontaneity and simple pleasure that you may have not felt in years. Another example, if you feel exasperated by folding laundry after the kids are in bed, leave it. Just leave it and have a glass of wine and listen to music with your partner instead. If you can't be bothered to bathe the kids, then skip bath time. As long as they're not filthy, let them listen to a kid's podcast instead while you read a magazine with your door shut. There is no rule that says your children must bathe every single day. If you hate ironing, don't do it this week. If you can't bear to do the dishes at the end of the day, don't do them. F the dishes. Go treat yourself to a session of self-pleasure instead. If you hate the PA meetings, skip one. Ask your best friend to step up to the plate and take notes for you while you go to the gym. What I'm saying here is that you always have a choice. You always have a choice to ditch an obligation and pick a more fun option instead. You do. At any moment, you can choose pleasure over obligation. You can choose amusement over irritation. You can choose to ditch your quest for a perfectly clean kitchen and be deliciously lazy. The world will go on and you will feel happier and more free and looser and more feminine when you choose to free yourself from some of those damn obligations you've taken on. And when you practice this habit of giving yourself the permission to ditch, you'll find that motherhood and marriage become so much more fun because of it. You will feel less wound up and more relaxed. You won't immediately push your husband away when he invites you to come outside and connect with him. You'll say yes to playing with your kids instead of telling them that you have to finish up your work first. Because when you free yourself from the obligation you feel to do everything and be everything to everyone and to do it all perfectly every single day, you make space for motherhood to become way more joyful and free-flowing and sensual. And that joy and freedom and sensuality you create within yourself is gonna carry right over into your relationship. Because the truth is, when you ease up on the obligations and start having more fun, your partner will feel like they're getting a piece of you back, a piece they really miss, that fun-loving, carefree woman who doesn't feel endlessly burdened by the boring minutia of motherhood and domestic life. And that is a massive win for you both. So today, I want you to start ditching. Even if you're thinking, but Dana, there's nothing I can ditch. It has to get done, everything. I'm telling you, there is. There is. You just have to give yourself permission and prioritize what's most important to get done and what's less. And you start by ditching what's less. And yeah, this might require you to become a little more tolerant of dishes being left undone or feeling that you're disappointing people by saying no. And to get started with this idea of giving yourself permission to ditch, here's a couple questions I want you to ponder. First, what does choosing more fun look like to you? What would it mean to choose more fun within your experience of motherhood? Would it mean being less scheduled and more spontaneous? Going to more play dates instead of staying late at the office every day? Going on family walks after dinner instead of launching into cleanup right away? Or maybe making out with your partner instead of doing the laundry at night? Think about it. What does choosing more fun look like to you? And the next question is, what can you ditch in the next few days that feels dull or boring or intense or stressful? What obligations can you ditch in order to choose more fun and freedom and flow? And then I want you to follow through. I want you to give yourself the permission to ditch and skip the laundry or the committee meeting at school that bores you to tears, or to leave the kids' toys scattered across the playroom, or push back a deadline at work by a day or two and have some fun and pleasure instead. I promise you that when you give yourself the permission to ditch, you will immediately start bringing more fun, laughter, pleasure, relaxation, and satisfaction and spontaneous connection with yourself and your partner into your daily experience. And I know you want that, and you deserve it. You deserve it. So you just have to make the choice, yes? Awesome. As always, thank you for watching, and I want to hear your thoughts on this whole idea of giving yourself permission to ditch. Think about the questions I asked, and please leave me a comment sharing how you plan on inviting more fun and spontaneity into your mom life. And be sure to check out my website, Dana B. Myers, and sign up for more tools and resources to feel more satisfied as a mother and to reignite your relationship after kids.